I grabbed a couple of PVC pipes in 2 sizes and T-connector from my local store. I started by cutting the 1.5-inch PVC pipes into 4-inch long pieces with a straight edge on one end and a 45-degree angle cut on the other. I also cut the 1/2-inch pipe into a 2-inch and 2 5-inch pieces. Then I sprayed them with multiple coats of white paint. Next, I grabbed a piece of plywood base which is 11 by 21 inches. I sanded the edges and sealed it with a clear sealer. Once the paint dried, I glued the 1.5-inch PVC pieces onto the plywood in 2 rows. You can add as many rows as you want based on your need. Then I marked the center and drilled a hole into the plywood that is about the same diameter as my small PVC pipe. Make sure not to drill all the way through. Leave about an 1/8 inch of material at the bottom. Next, add some glue onto the hole you just made. Attach the 2 long pieces to the T-connector and the small one on the other end and insert it into the hole. Next, I grabbed a 3-inch wide piece of plywood as a shelf at the bottom of the base, connected it with some wood glue and nailed it together. After the glue dried, I added a wall hanger and some felt bumpers onto the back. I hung it on the wall, added my stationeries, and now it's a cute wall-mounted organizer to store my office and craft supplies.
Who would have thought this curb appeal project would start in the plumbing department?
Using a handsaw, I carefully cut through the entire piece of plastic. Using my hot glue gun, I applied a large amount of glue around the rim of the cylinder. Then I flipped the first plate upside down and pushed it firmly against the glued pipe. Once both plates have been securely fastened, flip your candle base over so that the plates are flat on the floor. I covered the entire cylinder and plate from top to bottom in metallic spray paint. Next, I grabbed a piece of decorative ribbon and wrapped it twice around the bottom edge of the cylinder. This was to cover any unsightly lumps that the hot glue had left in the previous step. Grab your glass votives and place them inside the top of the cylinders. Ta-da! Your guests will never believe that these beautiful freestanding candle holders were made using pieces of plastic PVC pipe.
For today's project, we're going to head to the hardware store and grab some PVC pipe and fittings. This fitting right here is called a socket elbow. We're going to call it a corner piece. You want to make sure it's smooth on the inside of each one. This one is called a T-fitting. And then this is a 1/2 inch PVC pipe and it comes in a 10-foot length. We're going to need 4 10-foot lengths. Take the first one and you're going to cut it at 36 inches, 3 feet. I used a special PVC cutter for this. If you don't have one, you can use a hacksaw. Just make sure you clean up the edges when you're done. Cut 11 of those 3-foot pieces, and then you're going to cut 2 pieces at 15.5 inches. You're going to need 2 of those. Next, you're going to have a little bit of leftover, 12 foot long. You're going to want to cut each one at 3 inches long. So you'll mark it on the 3, 6, and 9 inch mark. And that's going to give you 4 equal pieces. We're going to make sure that we have 8 of those. Again, I love using this cutter. Gives it a perfect cut. Now we're going to lay it out. The way it lays out is you're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those 3-foot pieces on there with corner pieces and your T's as you see outlined here. What you're going to do is start at one end and go ahead and insert the 3-foot piece into one of those corner pieces, just like that. Put it on both sides. This is going to be the top of our rack. Then you grab one of those 3-inch pieces that we had, and you're going to start inserting the T's just like you see here. Go ahead and do the whole thing and just start inserting the pieces as you lay them out. I did not use any glue on this. If you've ever worked with PVC pipe, you're going to realize that fittings are really tight. If you want to use glue, go ahead, put a little bit on there. You don't need to make it watertight. We're not using this to carry water. This is going to be a special rack that we're going to use. Put all the pieces as you see. You can twist and turn as you need to make sure it comes out smooth and straight. So you're going to have 5 3-foot pieces across. You're going to have 6 of those T's and 4 of those corner sockets. All of them are going to face up on the corners because that's where our legs are going to go. Once you get all the pieces together, give it a good tight fitting just like that. Watch how it sinks in, and it's going to make it pretty tight. As you see here, this is the top of our rack, and it looks really good. Next, we got to put in the legs to the rack. We are going to use 4 of the 3-foot pieces that we have and put those in there. Pretty easy, just push them tight and make sure they fit. Next, turn the rack upside down. Go ahead and put one of the corner pieces in on each of those legs. And remember those 2 15.5-inch pieces we had? They will fit perfectly right in the ends there and hold the legs together. You're going to have 2 3-foot pieces left over. Again, put all the fittings together. It's coming together just great. Remember, if you want to glue, go ahead and put them in there. Then you can give it a coat of paint if you like. You can leave it white. I like to give it a paint just to make sure it matches. And when we come back, I'm going to show you everything you can use it for. And this rack is so versatile. Look at that. You can use it when you're cleaning out your car, or you can use it on the side of the pool to keep your pool towels dry.
To make my mosaic, I use glass gems, small tile, which I removed from the backing, large tile, which I broke into smaller pieces, and random plates, which I also broke into smaller pieces. I measured the 5-foot PVC pipe into 2 pieces. I wrapped painter's tape at my marks, which would make a straight line where I would cut. I cut a slit into the pipe using a handsaw. Then I inserted the blade of the jigsaw into the slit and cut the pipe easily into 2 pieces. I did the same thing at the bottom of the pipe so that I would have a flat end. Using a soft cloth, I wiped away any dust. Then I used heavy grit sandpaper to rough up the outside of the pipe. Then I wiped everything clean with a wet cloth. For the base of the pipe, I cut a piece of chicken wire to size and wrapped it around the bottom of the pipe. I attached the chicken wire to the pipe using duct tape. I wrapped it snugly around the pipe, making sure all the wire was covered. Now for the fun. With a plastic nut trowel, I applied mastic, which is an adhesive, to the pipe. While the mastic was still wet, I used a variety of tile, plates, and glass gems, pressing them firmly into the mastic. Once the mastic was dry, I applied the grout, pressing it into all the nooks and crannies. Once the entire pipe was grouted, I used a sponge and plain water to wipe away the excess grout. I allowed the pipes to dry 24 hours before sealing. Adding the sealer is an easy process using a sponge brush, and I covered the entire pipe with sealer. Since the pipes were tall, I added large rocks into the pipe for stability. As you can see, I have a place around our pool where nothing will grow and people can look in. These mosaic planters fill that space perfectly. They also look great on my front porch, raising up my plants for all to see. I hope this inspires you to make something for that empty space in your home.